Women should not fast, nor should women exercise, according to Dr. Patrick Flynn. This is not satire. This was a real video that recently went viral over on Instagram. Let's listen to what he says, break down some of the nuances that he fails to fully disclose, and talk about whether or not his advice is sufficient.
Women should not fast. Women should not exercise the way men do. Women should not actually have six packs like men can. It's virtually impossible for them to.
Hold on. When he says it's virtually impossible for women to have visible abs, has he ever Googled imaged women of the Hadza, women of Tanzania, women of Papua New Guinea? Women throughout the world can have visible abs and be perfectly healthy, breastfeed children, bear children. I mean, this is not like women need to go through these extreme fad diets and fasting protocols or exercise regimes to have visible abs. The dearth of abdominal muscles is a modern phenomenon. We are seeing this in modern societies because people, women and men, don't exercise enough. They eat processed foods. They sit in their Teslas. They're on Instagram on screens, and they don't move their bodies like they used to, in conjunction with eating hyperpalatable processed foods, and are exposed to all sorts of endocrine disrupting chemicals. So the fact that he's equating visible abdominal muscles in women with poor health is just myopic, and it's really incongruent with history and the expression of fertility and health in women in unindustrialized countries. Now, I'm not saying that just because you have abs you're healthy, but the fact that we're just looking at visible abs as approximation for health, most people would suggest that the dearth of visceral fat is actually healthy. And so anyway, that's point number one. I just want to point this out. Let's continue on.
I put a challenge out there on Instagram. Any lady that fasts and tells me they're healthy, I would love them to jump on this show and like to get blood work done first. I'd like to get blood work.
All right. So this is a good opportunity for all of you. If you want to get some free blood work and you've benefited from fasting, take him up on this offer. I mean, this is a $200 to $300 gift that he's offering to you if you've improved your health by way of fasting. Now, of course, many of you have improved your health by way of fasting, myself included. So I would be inclined to send him my lab work, but I think he's excluding men in this particular offering. Now, I do just want to mention, I don't want to be too critical and make this a personal ad hominem attack here, but there are some things that you might want to notice about this doctor, with all due respect to Dr. Patrick Flynn for putting out content out there. He's from Wisconsin. Most people, in fact, everyone I've met from Wisconsin are very nice people. So I'm not trying to be overly critical. However, Dr. Patrick Flynn might benefit from fasting. One thing you might notice is the expression of facial fat. Now, facial fat is often a reflection of intra-abdominal and visceral fat. Most people that have fat, like sort of a double chin and around the face, as you know, one of the first places that you lose fat when you start fasting or exercising is actually in your face. And so you can really almost look at someone and approximate their visceral fat. And it does appear to be, and I'm not trying to be hypercritical here, but he does have some soft breast, a lack or a deficiency of breast muscle, chest muscle. So Mr. Flynn might actually benefit from a combination of fasting and exercise. So again, I don't want to make this personal, but it's one thing if he was super fit and jacked and is working with a lot of athletes and is giving us specific examples of how extreme fasting regimes or extreme exercise regimes causes poor health issues, but he doesn't get into any particular nuances about, how fasting is harming women's health or how exercise is harming women's health, outside of the fact that he just sort of makes this loose claim saying that fasting and exercise is not healthy. How are we characterizing or defining health? Because we know that the expression of visceral fat, having belly fat or high fat levels, is unhealthy. We know that abdominal fat in particular is linked with polycystic ovarian syndrome in women, is linked with endometriosis, is linked with acne, hormone issues, cardiovascular disease. So you're telling me that a woman who exercises and fasts and has lost weight doing those modalities is unhealthy? By what measure? How are we characterizing health here? And he goes on to talk about the Dutch test, which is a test that we've been talking about since before we started this channel in 2014. So I know the owner, Mark Newman, great guy, the founder of that company. I'm all about that. But are you telling me that if someone has low progesterone on a Dutch test or something, but they've lost a lot of body fat by way of exercise and fasting, that that's not healthy? I'm not sure there. But anyway, let's go on with the video.
Work done first. I'd like the blood work and Dutch test done, and I'll show you it's not. If a woman has a six-pack, if you're an over CrossFitter and you actually are on Instagram showing yourself in your shorty shorts and your six-pack, I will personally pay for your labs to get done to show you that you may be fit, but you're not healthy.
Okay, again, how are we characterizing health? I know I follow several accounts that happen to be over CrossFitters, as he's referring to here. I can almost promise you that if I looked at their labs, they would have very low triglyceride levels. They would have a optimal ApoB to ApoA1 ratio. They might have low liver enzymes because of the dearth of liver fat. And so they're not on the path of developing non-alcoholic steatohepatitis or fatty liver disease. Yeah, maybe these women might have low iron levels or low ferritin levels because of the fact that the exercise demands and they're still menstruating because they're of reproductive age may not be optimal, but that's a simple fix with nutrition and micronutrition supplementation. How are we characterizing health? Are we going to say that, well, they might have low progesterone or amenorrheic cycles? Let's further define health in this situation. A woman commented on my Instagram here. I'll link her account. She just gave birth to her third child. She has a six-pack. She's breastfeeding, does not have fertility issues. So are you telling me that if we have a real-life example, and there's many examples of women who are fit, who fast, who exercise, who have birthed children, who have breastfed children, who have healthy, happy families, and themselves are healthy and fit. You're telling me that what they're doing is wrong because on a blood test or on a 24-hour urine test, their progesterone might be a little low or some such thing? I can show you many women who don't exercise, who don't fast, who eat like crap, and still have screwed up progesterone to estrogen ratios, right? So if we're going to go down that road, you can find a million examples of women who are on the path of metabolic syndrome, cardiometabolic disease, are creating the metabolic environment that fosters cancer promotion and growth that are unhealthy. So I think giving this advice to women just confuses women. So we should never discourage regular exercise. We should never discourage seasonally appropriate time-restricted feeding and feeding window compression. People have been doing this for thousands of years all throughout the world. It's not normal to eat a Snickers bar at midnight, right? This is not normal, right? Telling people that they should eat earlier in the day and stop feeding and start their fast earlier in the evening is good medicine. We know that the people that snack before bed and so forth tend to gain more visceral fat and don't have the same weight loss success. So Dr. Patrick Flynn, it'd be nice if you and other people in the comments could add more nuance to these discussions. And how are we characterizing health? Again, to summarize, when I think about health, I think of metabolic health, visceral adiposity, low triglycerides, low liver enzymes, optimal ApoB to A1 ratios. These are things that most people suffer from. They're on this path of insulin resistance, and that is predisposing them to cancers, to neurodegenerative diseases, to heart disease, and much more. So let me know what you think in the comments, friends. As always, appreciate you tuning all the way in. Thanks for hitting that like button, and we'll catch you on a future video down the road.